Okay, stream maybe should be back now. Alright, I think the stream is live again, so we're good to go, I think.
Sounds good.
But yeah, I was like, when I was rehooking my machine back up, I remember there was a USB 3 port on the back that wasn't being used. Why do I have my hub plugged into an old style USB 2 on the front of my computer? I should just plug it in back there. And then I plugged it in, sat back down, like, why did I have that? Oh, that was the bad USB port. Because last year I had my mouse plugged into that port, and my mouse would just jump around the screen like crazy, even if I wasn't touching it. So, yeah. And I have to go get a Stinian again. I'll be right back. And then I'm going to have to make the run back with him because I can't teleport. Tons of fun. And yeah, Frost, I've had to tear my computer down 2 or 3 times over the past week. So I'm still trying to get stuff set back up correctly. But yeah, you guys were noticing me going in and out speaking. I was also having the same issue with my headset. As I was having the audio almost drop, but then come back, then almost drop, and then come back. Like, I've got a loose connection somewhere or something. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Almost back. Estinian looks very silly when he's running at sprint speed.
Yeah.
Because whereas we switch into kind of a running animation, he's almost just doing a really fast walk. Okay. I assume KJ's already talked to him and teleported on.
Yeah, that's why I seen you run past me. I'm over here playing the scout thing.
Gotcha.
Without.
Greetings and welcome to Megaduta. May I inquire after your business? We are members of the Scions of the Seventh Dawn, come at the invitation of His Excellency. Ah, of course. We have been expecting you. I will show you to the audience chamber, if you would please follow me.
Are we the last to arrive? I hope we've not kept you waiting.
Not at all. Your comrade is feeling better, I trust.
Much better, thank you. Harness remedies are certainly potent, in more ways than one.
One becomes accustomed to the taste, although I hope you never have cause to do so. Pray, take your ease.
Full glad I am to see you all unharmed.
Valiant scions, for your heroism, you have my boundless gratitude. You cast down that dire tower and set free
Thank
its
you,
hapless
bot.
captives.
A little
You
slow,
cleanse
but
their
thank you.
souls of its corrupting influence. No words of thanks will suffice. In place of platitudes, I offer a bounty of warding scales. Pray accept your due reward, along with the goodwill of Radzatan.
Alchemists throughout the land were put to work in the forging of your talismans. The finished ones have been collected, and now await you at the High Crucible of Alchemia. Present this letter when you are ready to take them into your possession.
We are humbled by your generosity. Know that the inventive wisdom of Radzat Han will be vital in restoring serenity to our star.
Every single one of those scales came from you, didn't they? You must still be in such pain.
'Tis of no moment. A mere annoyance compared to the dreadful suffering inflicted upon this land and its people.
Albeit brief, my involvement in the Dragonsong War afforded me a glimpse of the myriad sorrows which consumed both dragon and man. Though you were half a world away, such tragedies as befell your kin must have affected you deeply. And yet, you chose to live among men.
In the age when that conflict first bloomed, my choice had already been made. In some distant place, man slew dragon, and dragon slaughtered man. Yet no hate did I muster for those smiling faces which did look to me for guidance. Not even my brother's righteous rage could rally me to his cause. I huddled here, secret and still, hoping against hope that which I had built would remain untouched by the chaos and carnage.
Twould seem we share the same desire for peace, great Vritra. To that end, I wonder if we might trouble you with another question. The Telophoroi are intent on recreating the final days, an apocalyptic event which we know to predate the sundering of the star. As the longest lived among us, know you aught of this terrible cataclysm?
Nay. When war and strife drove my sire from his home, he crossed the great expanse with only our unhatched eggs as company. He lighted upon a shattered source, its 13 reflections long since scattered beyond the rift. Of events preceding his arrival, he knoweth naught, save that which Hydralin hath deigned to disclose.
I see. So again, 'tis the inscrutable Hydaelyn to whom you must look for answers.
Seek you to divine the will of this star? If so, I have a tale which may afford you some small comfort. 'Tis a story from my youth, many years ago. To my sire, I once posed the question, of all the stars in the sky, why didst thou settle upon this one? To which Midgardsormr did reply. 'Twas the last bastion of hope. He believed so long as Hydaelyn endured, so too might dragonkind. Solemn and portentous were his words. What deeper meaning they held, I could not, dared not pursue. 'Tis a stone I've left unturned ever since. Yet take you solace in the knowledge that whatsoever Hydaelyn does strive towards, 'tis an ideal which earned my sire's conviction.
Thank you, Vritra. You've given us warm reassurance in a world gripped by cold uncertainty.
While I'm sure we all have a great many questions, I think it's time we collect the talismans and be on our way. Our fight against the Telophoroi is far from finished.
We must take our leave, but please do inform us if we can provide any further assistance.
Prithee, a moment. There is one whom my sire hath judged worthy of honor and respect. The one known to men as Eorzea's champion. This hero of renown and rumor, 'tis thee. In accordance with the covenant he forged with Hydaelyn, the stewardship of this star hath ever been his purpose. Silence in the face of thine actions is the greatest sign of his approval. 'Twas a revelation most pleasing that thou, a child of man, had gained Midgardsormr's trust. But alongside mine elation runneth a rivulet of dread. For upon thy life's reel wind too many threads of fate, power, wheel enmeshed with woe. Amidst this tangled knot thou shalt know no rest. 'Tis an endless confluence of forces, a struggle without surcease. More terrible still is the attrition wrought upon thy companions, as they are swept up in the storm of thine existence. Take heart and protect them well. They will be your strength and your salvation. The hope thou wilt need come the end. Even cowering behind my curtain, I know the suffering of the powerful. I have watched my siblings driven mad by loss. Thus do I exhort thee to spare no effort to keep thy loved ones safe.
Apologies. We hadn't meant to interrupt.
It's just that we do have a history of suddenly collapsing, and when you didn't follow us out...
'Tis I who must apologize. I have detained your champion overlong with idle chatter. Go. At war's end, I pray I welcome thee back into my hall. where together with thy joyful comrades, you may toast your triumph.
So, what were you and Vitra talking about? Nothing? Very well, if you say so. The others have gone ahead to the High Crucible. Let's catch up to them. The attendant was kind enough to give me directions to the High Crucible. First, let us return to the mulberry orchard. The what?
It's the mulberry wine.
I know what mulberries are, but have we seen a mulberry orchard? Are we aware of the existence of one?
I don't know. I'm excited about the loaf, though.
Getting that thing's pretty easy. The
Okay.
lookout over there.
From here, we're supposed to follow the path left and past the mulberry.
Oh, crap.
Hmm?
It made a noise and we heard follow. The rest we did not hear.
Yeah, I've been having the same pop in and pop out of my headset over here as well.
Dang it.
Yeah, we're just gonna have to deal with it. I'll have to take things apart again and see if I can fix them tonight or tomorrow. Where the street turns, enter the door straight ahead, then descend the steps. I thought the Crystarium was confusing, but it doesn't compare to Razatan. The architecture and decorations make it even harder to get your bearings. Anyway, let's see where this door takes us. And here is the Aetheryte Plaza. So far, so good. And there isn't much further to go. From here, we just need to cross the other side of the hall, then pass through the larger of the two doorways. The High Crucible lies beyond. I suspect the others have already collected the warding scales. Come, let us join them.
Still disabled.
Yeah, I think it's going to be disabled for a while. We're last, of course, but at least we found the place.
These are the talismans we were promised.
Yes, and I made a quick count. There are far more than we could have hoped for. Enough to outfit an entire company of soldiers, in fact. Considering the involved process, That they were able to manufacture so many in such a short span of time is nothing short of a miracle.
Once we have distributed them to our allies in Eorzea and the Far East, we'll have a fighting chance to bring down the other spires, just as we did with the Tower of Zot.
Or we could use them to invade Garlemald proper, and strike directly at the Telophoroid's base of operations. Of course, we would need to consult with various Alliance leaders before such a drastic measure could even be contemplated. To which end, I could set out forthwith and present the idea to each of our allies in person.
Pray allow me to undertake some few of those journeys. I find myself restless and in need of purposeful duties.
I can head eastward. Bosnia and Dalmasca are just a short hop from here. And Doma's shinobi network should come in handy for passing on the word.
We shall share the burden then. Meanwhile, I think it best that you and the others take the talismans back to the Baldessian Annex. We must keep them safe and secure until we've decided upon a course of action.
Please, I must speak with you.
Nidana, you're awake.
Yes. When I spoke with the carer at my bedside, she told me that one of the scions, a young woman, had cleansed me of the tower's corruption. It seems I've been asleep ever since the treatment. But when I awoke and learned you were all still here, I knew I had to come.
As you said, Nidana was captured only recently. Such a brief exposure is swiftly cured, so I tended to her before we gathered at Megaduta.
And I am truly grateful that you did. I cannot thank you enough. All of you, for everything you've done. Destroying the tower, rescuing our people. You've saved Havnair from an awful fate.
Yet who hath truly saved whom? Due in no small part to thine inspirational courage, the alchemists were successful in reproducing warding scales of proven efficacy. Replications of thy work now stand ready to travel across the seas, unto the hands of those who might wield them against this rising evil.
The talisman? Is this true? Oh, I was so groggy from sleep. I didn't even think to ask. Our great work sent across the seas. It was worth it. Oh, it was all worth it.
Look at that. Its color is completely changed.
What do you have there? How unusual. I wonder if the effect is a reaction to Akasha.
I'm afraid I'm not familiar with that term.
Akasha? It is one of the unseen energies defined by Harnish alchemical theory. Though a gross oversimplification, some describe it as an essence influenced by feelings.
You imply that it is distinct from ether?
Foreign scholars often conflate the two, but we see them as separate concepts. Ether is an energy which permeates the land. It exists within animals, objects, even the air we breathe, affecting all through which it flows. Akasha, on the other hand, exists in a domain beyond our reach. A gift bestowed from on high, or torn from the heavens in some traditions. Akasha can neither be created nor destroyed. It is beyond our power to purposefully alter or manipulate. The only thing observed to influence it is an abundance of, I want to say, spiritual emotion. As a veteran of the battlefield, surely you've experienced moments of desperation or exaltation when you've transcended the usual limits of your capabilities. That is a manifestation of Akasha, the invisible essence harnessed by heart, mind, and unyielding spirit.
I really must hear more about this theory. Our disciplines are based entirely upon the idea that ether is the fundamental form of all energy.
I'm glad my haphazard explanation has piqued your interest. But even for us, Akasha is a somewhat abstract field of study. A lack of practical application lends itself poorly to formalized research. Which is why my analysis of your flower can amount to little more than idle speculation. I am sorry.
Nonsense! You have nothing to be sorry for. Your insight is much appreciated.
Shall we depart for Charlian? I will see to it that the talismans arrive at the annex.
And we will be in touch once our talks are concluded. I suggest you rest while you can.
AFK for just one moment. Okay, let's see what that does. Or see if it helps any. Who handles our teleports to Charlian? Okay. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You're like, nobody's responded. Great.
That thought actually occurred to me. I think, I wonder if we should say something.
Yes, please, and thank you. It's good to be back, and with the fruit of our labors safely in storage. For now, we have but to wait for the others to return from their respective meeting with the Alliance leaders. As Thancred suggested, you should get some rest in the meantime. I have one issue, Kryle. Why did we bring the scales here?
Yeah.
Why didn't we take them to Ul'dah or Alamigo or somewhere within the Alliance's seat of control?
Yes, I'm
Exactly.
concerned they're gonna get stolen and used by those guys.
Mm-hmm. Or confiscated so we can't break something with them or something.
Exactly. That part right there is what I was thinking about.
Yeah, we're being sent to our inn rooms. Which I assume are not haunted. But we'll see.
Mm.
Take heart and protect them well.
Good, you're here. You haven't eaten yet, have you? We've bought quite a spread if you're interested. Only the finest dining from the last stand.
Woo. Party time.
Mm.
Raha love burger.
Lest you wonder, we invited
Oh,
Estinian
yeah.
as well. But he refused with a rather grim-faced, "No, thank you."
What's
I
funny is
suspect Shalian cuisine is
he took a
not
bite
to
and
his
didn't even get
liking.
the burger. He just got the buns and stuff, and he was all excited.
Oh, I don't know about that. Perhaps our lone wolf just needed some time apart.
What? To perfect his brooding stare? Next time, I'll drag him out by the ear, sit him down in front of a Shalian feast, and see that he eats every last bite.
An excellent idea. Of all people, warriors must take proper meals and rest if they are to maintain a healthy constitution.
Poor Estinian, beset on all sides.
Speaking of one's physical condition, Mistress Kryle, I hear you recently played literal host to Heidelin herself.
And what an experience that was. Tiring, yes, but no lasting harm done. If anything, I should have liked to speak with her longer. I've not felt a hint of her presence since.
Heidelin instructed you to carry that flower, yes? Twill be your guide, test and proof of your conviction. And then something about seeking joy in darkness, was it? Come to think of it, isn't that what happened with Nidana? back in Radsat Han.
The flower did seem to radiate a joyful glow, as if reflecting the elation we all felt, the relief of a people with renewed hope.
Indeed, and in turn, I felt buoyed by that radiance. 'Twas akin to spotting a beacon and knowing we were on the right path. I know we've not yet triumphed over the Telophoroi, or learned the full breadth of the Forum's plans. But even within the midst of our struggles, we find small moments of joy to sustain us. Rare and hard-won perhaps, but it is this pursuit of happiness that gives us the strength to carry on day after day. Hey, that's mine.
To the swift the spoils. Though I recall that levitation spell of yours was quick enough.
Only barely. And even at my best, I'm still too slow to wield it effectively in battle. Mayhap I simply require more practice with this new magic.
You unearthed it from the depths of Numenon, I presume?
Aye, and from a veritable mountain of arcane tomes at that. 'Twas necessary to facilitate my solitary explorations.
Or, to put it simply, you used it to sneak around the Forbidden Archives.
Yes, well, after a fashion. They're tall, you see. The shelves, they're too tall for me. And I could hardly move the library's platforms without attracting attention now, could I?
Oh.
I'm not that ambitious. But 'tis pleasant to idle away the hours every once in a while.
Enjoying the bracing cold, I see. Do you not own a warm coat or a cloak? Something in fur? Or fashioned from the skins of your enemies? Or... well, never mind that. I come to you once more as the bearer of bad news. Our tower in Thavnir has been toppled. And I need not tell you by whom. Given how many we have at our disposal, the loss of a single spire is hardly fatal to our plans. It does, however, slow the rate at which we siphon the ether. If they continue to preoccupy themselves with the towers, then all will be well. But should our foe prove bold enough to strike at us here, then the timing becomes questionable.
Our foe is bold enough. Of that, I can assure you.
Yes, very well then. I suppose I must prepare a proper welcome. Honestly, talk of your nemesis is the only thing you seem to enjoy. Does nothing else spark your interest?
No. All else is equal. Equally tedious. Equally disappointing. The world is a tepid bog into which we sink, too weak to thrash as the mud clings to our eyes and fills our throats till we blissfully choke. But then came the light, blinding and pure and hot, so very hot, enough to set my soul aflame. I basked in the afterglow, until the void yawned once more. And then I knew the muck would never claim me again. There was naught for me ahead, so I drew the curtain on all that had come before. Burn, burn, let the whole star burn. I will have my contest. I will reclaim my moment.
How wonderful that the emptiness of death has not dissuaded you from committing your life to its pursuit once more. I don't know whether to envy you or pity you.
You question my disinterest, but what of yours? Despite your noisome antics, I sense you take little pleasure in this endeavor.
Mercy, my lord. Such pointed barbs from one who barely acknowledges my existence. Nevertheless, you are mistaken. For I do find this part somewhat enjoyable. You see, when I was mortal, I would always have the same dream. It was a fragmented thing, disjointed, all the faces incomplete. The setting, too, was unknown to me, so I thought it simply a fantasy of my sleeping mind. Until one day, I realized it was showing me the truth, much as your dream of the final days enlightened you. And soon, very soon, the rest of the world will see the truth of my dream, too. Yes, I think that is something we can both enjoy.
Oh, there you are. Feeling refreshed, I hope. I was about to make my way to the studium, as it happens. I wanted to try to speak with Scholar Montaigne and thank him for coming to our rescue in the Rostra. As it turns out, he'd come here to see us following the hearing, only to find that we'd already departed for Thavnir. Knowing him, he was probably hoping to chew the cud with his former students. Since we're still waiting for Ishtola and the others, I thought now would be the perfect time to pay him a visit. Care to join me? And it's settled. The twins will be coming too, assuming Alphino can tear himself away from his new toys. I'll let you rally the troops while I go on ahead to the phenomenon. Considering my recent impropriety, perhaps I should avoid showing my face around the studium. That might be for the best. If the others should return, tell them we will not be long. Did I really not have to teleport over here yet?
Well, did you talk to Alisai? Nope.
No, I didn't. I said we were going to the studium, so I went to the studium. Heading out for a stroll. The Scholark himself was here. In that case, what are we waiting for? I too am eager to see him. Although I somewhat dread the thought of visiting the studium, I dare say our notoriety precedes us. Alphanode of all people worrying over his reputation, and at our alma mater no less. Will wonders never cease? You'll understand soon enough. Off we go. Here it is. Phenomenon. Well, I expect you made note of it before. One could hardly miss it. This is the first time you've been here on official business, correct? While most of the space is taken up by the expansive auditoriums, it also houses numerous laboratories, testing grounds for experimental magics, and a host of administrative offices and so forth. As the center of what would later become the studium, it was established to promote the study of aetherological phenomenon, hence the name. Though, with ether being a fundamental aspect of nature, its scope expanded to include every conceivable facet of life, and even the universe itself. And then, in the 432nd year of the 6th Astral Era, Phenomenon was decreed complete, and the studium officially opened as a place of learning. With a long and storied history, it is without question the world's leading authority on aetherology, the arcane, the occult, astromancy, and countless other fields, standing proud as Charlian's foremost educational institute. You always did enjoy giving the grand tour to new students. Indeed, I've long since lost track of how many times he has recited that same foppish speech. such is his undying love for his old stamping ground. He was in top form back then, youngest to enter the studium, graduated with highest honors in magical arts and aetherology, undisputed champion of the debating chamber. Hold on, you both joined the studium at the same age, yes? And from where I stand, you're equally prodigious scholars. Nice of you to say, but Alpha Node actually entered a half year before me. Nor did I do well enough to graduate with honors, and I am certainly not the studium's most notorious master debater. In all respects, have I ever been in his shadow. If nothing else, just remember that this was where the legend of Alpha Node Levelier began. We should expect everyone to be fully aware of our recent escapades. Hopefully we'll be somewhat more welcome here than we were at Last Stand. I know better than anyone the adoration of the student body has for Alpha Node, and with a bit of luck, it might work to our advantage. Well, there's no time like the present. First things first, let's look for Scholarch Montechain. Other faculty tend to frequent their offices, but unfortunately for us, he's fond of wandering wheresoever his whims take him. Let's split up and ask the students if they've seen it. That was Alpha Node Levelier, wasn't it? The Alpha Node Levelier. And he's with his sister, and Master Baldessian's granddaughter. This can only mean one thing. An event of epoch-shattering proportions is fast approaching. Spread the word. Oh, sorry, you said you were looking for the Scholarch, yes? Knowing him, he could be anywhere. But, Mistress Alipo should have a better idea. Mistress Alipo. Which one of them is here, and why are they here? Or is there another one? There is another one.
I don't remember the name for some reason.
Chloe is an Alipo.
Oh!
As is her sister. Was it Zloe?
Yeah, okay.
Are you lost? Wandering off the street, perhaps? Wait, don't tell me. You're a trainee gleaner fresh off the guild ship. I'm right, aren't I? Oh, how silly of me. An orientation is in order. Allow me to bid you warm welcome to the Searcher's Meet. Let me start with a question. What is the most important thing you'll find in the studium? That's right. Books. And what's the second most important? Why, that's simple. Everything else. That's what we deal in here at Searcher's Meet. Whenever the students or tutors find themselves in need of equipment or materials, they come to us. If we don't have it in our stores, we send the gleaners off to find it. Honestly, you wouldn't believe some of the requests we get. Eye of Passia this, tongue of Gigantode that. It's enough to make your hair stand on end. Which is possibly what some of our students are trying to accomplish, this being a school of magic. As our newest gleaner, you'll have your work cut out for you, but I think you'll find it quite rewarding. I'm going with option 2. What you're telling me is you're not a gleaner? Yes, that's exactly what you said, isn't it? And you're looking for the Scholarch. I'm afraid we don't have any of those in stock, but Oh, you mean him. He was here, but now he's not. I did speak with him shortly before you arrived, though. He said he was on his way to Maker's Meet. Go back the way you came, and you'll see You'll see it on the opposite side of the entrance in the laboratory of sorts. Home to many rare and expensive curios. Not to mention alarmingly frequent accidents. If you lose your way, just follow the blood-curdling screams. In the time it's taken me to tell you all this, the Skylark has probably already left. Best of luck finding him. I have a feeling you'll need it. Yes, the Skylark was here a short while ago. He offered me advice on my current research project. Though we spoke at length, I don't recall him mentioning where he was planning to go next. When we parted ways, he went down the corridor. Perhaps to one of the auditoriums?
There you go.
I object to it refusing to give me credit when I was standing on the desk.
Rude.
Ah, I remember you.
I pray we have not caught you at an inopportune moment. We wanted to offer our thanks for your kind words in the forum.
Well, I could hardly let that inquisition go unchallenged. I've always believed that curiosity should be nurtured, not stifled. Thankfully, a majority of my colleagues agreed. A slender majority, aye, but a majority nonetheless.
Had the vote not gone our way, we would be having a very different conversation, if any at all. Though I'd like to think you would have not given up on our cause. I'm told you paid a visit to the annex afterwards.
Yes, that's right. I was hoping to speak with the grandchildren of my dearly departed friends Galuf and Louisoix in a less dour setting. But it seems I just missed you. I still can't believe how much you've grown. If only your grandsires could have seen the way you presented yourselves to the Forum. Why, it fair brought a tear to my own eye. You must have the patience of a saint, putting up with this lot and their antics. Never mind Matoya's prize student. Luckily, I know a thing or two about managing unruly younglings. If you ever need advice, don't hesitate to ask.
If I may, there is a rather more pressing matter we wish to discuss. What can you tell us of this duty that the Forum must fulfill?
Nothing, I'm afraid. Like all humble servants of the Forum, I am sworn to secrecy. Or rather, I couldn't tell you if I tried. Our duty is of the gravest importance. Furthermore, if the particulars were made public, it would incite widespread panic. As such, those entrusted with this duty have been bound by an enchantment, which prevents us from speaking of such matters without the express permission of the Forum.
How is that even possible?
It's been some time since I last gave a lecture. Please, take a seat.
We shall begin by reviewing the fundamentals of etherology. The ether, which imbues us with life, can be categorized into 3 forms. 2 are of the incorporeal sort, the soul, and the memory. Can anyone tell me the third? Yes, very good. This is the form with which the layman is most familiar, consumed by even the simplest of daily activities, and replenished by the food and drink that sustain us. This form of ether is in constant flux. In contrast, the ether that comprises the soul is rarely subject to dramatic change. The same can be said for memory, as the two are intrinsically linked. Picture the soul as paper, and memories as words written upon it. Now, what would happen if that paper was doused with ink, the same type of ether as comprises the memories?
It would blot out everything that was written.
Precisely. We would be unable to recall the memories, and any activities that depend upon them would be hindered as well. In fact, this exact phenomenon was observed on a vast scale not so long ago. And what might that have been?
The 7th Umbral Calamity. The people of Eorzea vividly recall Bahamut breaking free of the Lesser Moon and raining hellfire down upon the realm. But no one could seem to remember the events that followed immediately afterwards.
Indeed. To this day, we have yet to determine whether it was an unintended consequence or a deliberate act. The enchantment which binds me and the rest of the Forum is based on a similar principle. And yes, it is a contravention of the Sharlayan prohibition against the practice of memory manipulation. Only when a new member is inducted and told of our great duty are they subjected to the process. A necessary evil. You have my word that it would never be used to manipulate the populace?
I should hope not. But can this enchantment be dispelled and your memories restored?
If 9/10 of our members give their approval, then the process may be reversed. Then, and only then, would we be able to speak freely to others of our sacred duty. Barring that, we must wait until we return to the ethereal sea. For there we will be purified, the blots upon our souls washed clean. And our memories drift apart and dissolve. But there are those memories that are indelibly etched upon our souls, some believe.
What happens after that?
We are reduced to pure ether, coalesce with that of others, and create souls anew. Alternative schools of thought assert souls remain whole and return to the corporeal world, reborn into another form. Both theories have their proponents, Personally, I consider each equally probable. Well, I think that's enough education for today. Now that I've given you some food for thought. Or rather, an entire banquet. I would remind you that although I'm unable to assist you with certain matters, the resources at my disposal may still be of use to you. I'll arrange for you all to be given the run of Phenomenon. Of course, as associate to our alumni and the students of Baldessian, this privilege is extended to you as well, my friend. Oh, and I suggest you speak with Ki Aliapo. She's well known among the artisans of Sharlayan, and her network of contacts may prove useful in your search for knowledge. I wish you all the best in your pursuits, wheresoever they may take you.
Well, that's given me much to mull over. I feel as though we're one step closer to understanding the Forum's true motives, and the mysteries of life itself, for good measure. It's funny, I came here with the intent of expressing my gratitude, only to leave more indebted than before. I have a feeling his friendship and support will be a great boon to us in days to come. And on that note, let's head back to the Annex. Perhaps on the way, you could better acquaint yourself with Ki Alipo, as the Scholark suggested, while I share our findings with Raha. Well, whatever this quest is with her, I can't do it. Requires a disciple of the land or hand at level 80 or higher.
Oh, that sounds like a Beast Tribe one, right? But
This is probably collections. It's crafting stuff, I think.
Yeah.
Probably doing the exact same thing that Zloe does in Idlishire.
Actually, it looks more like what they do in Christorium.
Alright.
You open up to each of the different things, and how the hell do I get out of here? Hold on. And can probably level up, but I've already hit 90 on all of them except for 2.
Oh, keep in mind, my highest level crafting is level 40, so I don't even know what they do in Idlishire. Ah, welcome back. From what I hear, your trip to the studio proved most educational. While you were away, I received word from our fellow Scions. As expected, news of the warding scales was met with much joy. Preparations are now underway to bring the leadership of the Grand Company of Eorzea and the Eastern Alliance together to determine a way forward. Our friends have asked that we bring the scales in our possession to Limsa Laminsa. The time has come to go on the offensive? Too early to say for certain, but that does seem to be the way the winds are blowing. I, for one, can think of no reason to oppose such a plan, but let us see what awaits us in Vilbrand. Let's start by getting the scales out of storage. Give me a hand, would you, Estinian? No, I didn't realize these crates were so heavy. I feel like the crates have already been switched. The seals on the end look different than they looked before, unless I'm misremembering. I shouldn't complain, though. Vitra and the alchemists of the Great Work put their heart and soul into each and every one of these scales, so you must treat them with the utmost care. Are you not coming with us? As much as I would like to escape the Forum's watchful gaze, I have little choice but to stay behind. We're already on thin ice, and if I, in my capacity as your official representative, were found to be consorting with foreign powers, well, you can imagine how that would go. I shall remain here and do my utmost to avoid ruffling any more feathers as I wait word from Master Matoya and our other allies. With luck, we'll soon have good news of our own to share. The tide is about to turn. I could feel it. Talimsa Laminsa. My apologies for calling you all the way from Charlian on such short notice. On the contrary, we are honored and grateful, and pleasantly surprised to be joined by such esteemed company. It was only right that this discussion be conducted in person. We are locked in a war of attrition. Our forces struggle to contain the threat posed by the towers, and it is only a matter of time before we are overwhelmed. Victory will only be claimed through decisive action, and we have taken the initiative to set the wheels in motion. It is reassuring to learn that we are all in accord. But might I ask what your plan entails? It hinges entirely on the warding scales and our ability to utilize their potential to the fullest. During your time in Charlian, the Allied nations have been engaged on separate fronts, with no end in sight. To make matters worse, a surge in abductions of kobolds, Sahagin, Ixal, and Anata have given rise to an increasing number of primals as well. But your triumph in Radzat-Han has given us cause to hope once more. The time has come to free ourselves of this menace. It is you, the Scions of the Seventh Dawn, who have shown us the way. While the bulk of our forces will continue to hold the Tlaffaroi at bay, we will dispatch our finest to strike at the enemy's heart, Garlemald. These brave few will be the Isbard contingent. Think such progress has been made in so short a span. Its objectives are twofold. The first is to provide aid to the people of Garlemald. As previously reported, countless Imperial soldiers and civilians have been tempered, robbed of their free will. They serve the Tlaffaroi's every whim without question. They too are victims. It is our duty to deliver them from their suffering. Not for strategic or political gain, but because it is the right thing to do. I do not ask that we set aside decades of conflict and conquest, that we simply choose to forgive and forget. I ask only that in choosing to remember we do not also forsake our compassion and morality, for without that there can be no reconciliation, only death without end. On that we agree. Our second objective is the colossal tower that Thancred Urianger observed in the capital. Though its purpose remains unclear, there is reason to believe the smaller spires are merely a precursor of what is to come. Until the Tower of Zot was toppled, we'd failed to make any headway, though the same could be said of the Tlaffarai. They're certainly in no rush to press further into our lands. I'd wager the spire's primary purpose is to divide and keep us occupied, while they work towards our annihilation. This would appear to be substantiated by Istola's analysis of the tower's influence and on ethereal currents. Based on her observations inside the Tower of Zot, the spires siphon ether from the land, consuming it to maintain their form. However, they draw forth far more than is required for this task alone. The excess of ether remains unaccounted for, but we can be sure it is not being harnessed to our benefit. It wouldn't surprise me in the least if it were being redirected to the larger spire at the capital. There's logic in that. Regardless, once we have uncovered the truth, we'll bring their schemes crashing down, along with their infernal towers. That's all well and good. But what would you have us do? I assume it's more than handing over the scales and being on our way. We want you and your scales to join the Isbard contingent. Consider it an official request from both the Grand Company of Eorzea and the Eastern Alliance. Do you accept? Perhaps you should be the one to answer that. I don't really like any of these responses.
I just want to hit my hands together.
But it's going to be what we do regardless of what we say. I'm going with option 2. Couldn't have put it better myself. Istola, Thancred, and Urianger have already pledged their support and are on their way to meet the rest of the contingent. They were positive you would come to the same decision as they did. Luckily for all involved, their prediction was correct. Once you have delivered the warding scales to Alamigo, the contingent will embark on its journey to Islabard. Raban and Lord Imeric are overseeing preparations, so I suggest you make yourselves known upon arrival. Pack warm clothing, furs and the like. Without it, the cold will do you in before the Telophori have so much as draw steel. As for us, we'll keep the enemy busy while you're gone. They're not the only ones who can know how to create a diversion. Now go, safe in the knowledge Eorzea will be as you left it, or better upon your return. Ah, the Wanderers return. You've been busy, bringing down a tower and producing the keys to destroying the rest of them. You should be proud. Those warding scales of yours are what's made this whole venture possible. Will you and Lord Imeric be leading the contingent? Regrettably, no. Our role is to organize the various delegations into a cohesive unit. Once we have set you all off, it's back to our respective posts. We dare not neglect our duties for too long, lest our defensive efforts fall into disarray. And just between us, there was a fair amount of opposition to the formation of the Islabard contingent. The very suggestion that we send out some of our finest troops behind enemy lines to render aid unto the Garleans has made me a rather unpopular in certain quarters. Can't please them all. Sadly not, though I do my best. Truth be told, I'd much rather be at your side, charging into the fray. Alas, I've battles of my own to fight, where words may serve me better than any blade. I hate to say it, but Lord Imeric's struggles mirror my own. For the time being, the best we can offer you is a peace of mind from knowing Eorzea is in safe hands. As you fight the good fight in Islabard, and I and the other commanders will do what we can to convince the naysayers that our cause is just. Thank you, both of you. We meet again. Word of your exploits travels quickly. From what I gather, the protective talismans you obtained led to the formation of this expeditionary force. My contribution on this occasion is but a minor one, that being the information I have shared with Maxima. For the sake of the people of Garlemald, may the fates be on your side. So, you're not coming with us? Strange. I thought you'd have a stake in this. I do. The Telophori have laid waste to my homeland and enslaved my people. But though every mote of my being cries for vengeance, I cannot be the one to deliver it. My presence alone would place the entire mission in jeopardy. I stand accused of murdering Emperor Varus and plunging Garlemald into chaos. Were I to travel to the Isambard contingent, it would give my countrymen ample cause to question our motives. Conversely, those who believe me innocent may instead celebrate the return of a former legatus and attempt to raise me up in a position of leadership, further destabilizing the region and complicating the contingent's mission. Whether I am branded a villain or hailed as a hero, I would only hinder your own. I went with option 1. For what it's worth, you have my gratitude. You and your comrades have the strength and courage to deliver my countrymen. I am certain of it. In light of Gaius's rather unique circumstances, I instead will assume the role of your guide. Though I may have defected for political reasons, my love for Garlemald endures. I would stop at nothing to protect her and her people. Well said. Might I ask you to escort our friends inside? You might even bump into an old acquaintance or two. And if I don't see you but again ere you depart, may the Fury guide and protect you, all of you. Ooh, a mystery box.
Woohoo!
The other members of the Isambard contingent are gathered in the royal palace. I shall inform them of your arrival, but please make your way inside as soon as you are ready. The remaining members of the Scions. Your friends and most of the Isambard contingent await you within.
By the 12.
Quite a force.
Glad you could join us. I hope you don't mind, but we went ahead and started without you.
As you can imagine, our traveling companions were eager to become acquainted. 'Tis a rare thing indeed to see such a diverse and talented group of individuals assembled for a single purpose. We fight not only for the sake of Eorzea, but for the entire world, including the people of Garlemald. Much rides on the efforts of the Isambard contingent.
Indeed, which is why I am glad to find myself in the company of many trusted comrades, yourselves included.
Lucia!
I have come at the behest of Lord Emmerich, who has honored me with the role of Ishgard's representative. And for the good of all nations, not least my former homeland, I am determined to see this mission through to its end. We have a hard road ahead of us, but walk it we shall, together.
We too welcome this opportunity to work together once more. I have faith that, if there is a way to resolve this conflict, we will find it.
Allow me to introduce you to the rest of our company. Everyone! If I may have your attention. Might I ask you to speak first?
If I must. I am Arun Senna, spokesman for the Gridanian delegation. Here on behalf of my esteemed sister, the Elder Seedseer, we shall provide support and protection to those in need during our time in Garlemald. To that end, I am joined by healers selected by the Conjurers Guild, with the Order of the Twin Adder's Finest serving as our escort.
Suppose I'd better say my piece.
Wait, I know you.
The name's Sicard, in case you've forgotten. Truth be told, I'd rather you had forgotten. Any road, the Admiral asked Captain Hilfear to send his best, and for whatever reason, he picked me. Of course, if I'd refused, I'd be the laughingstock of the bloody executioners, and my reputation's taken enough of a keyhauling as it is. But more importantly, like any pirate worth his salt, I know when you're staring down a storm, you gotta trust in the commander of your ship. So if the Admiral wants us to go to Garlemald, not for plunder and glory, but the promise of peace in our time, then that's what we'll do. Since we all know how much the Empire loves its steel, we thought we'd bring along a few smiths to make the most of it. Give them a pile of scrap and they'll cobble together anything you fancy. Of course, just like the Gridanians, we got fighters of our own. We might have come with a more constructive purpose in mind, but we're more than capable of cracking skulls, believe you me.
Well, you're certainly raring to go. But then again, so are we. The most dependable warriors of Uldar and Alamigo have assembled at the Sultana and General Aldin's behest. If Garlemald has truly fallen, then the whole place is likely to be crawling with Telophoroi. We'll need plenty of troops to clear and hold a path for others to follow. That's where we come in. Naturally, Marshal Terrapin and I will be leading from the front.
It's been some time since I last saw you in your element on the battlefield.
From what I've heard, you've become pretty fearsome yourself. Master Matoya, the Avatar of Destruction. With comrades like these, I know we'll succeed, no matter what awaits us. And then we might finally get a chance to enjoy a good long rest. But until then, let's give it our all.
As for Ishgard, we Temple Knights have come in force to uphold our nation's commitment to the peace and welfare of our allies. The bitter cold of Garlemald is a formidable enemy in of itself. Our experience fighting in ice and snow will prove invaluable in the days ahead. Accordingly, I have been designated commander of the Ilzabard contingent. I will do all in my power to provide you with the leadership and guidance you require. The four high houses, House Hylinart foremost among them, have arranged for a host of machinists to join us on our mission. Their knowledge of Imperial Magitech is sure to be a great boon. They will address any problems of a technical nature, together with the smiths of Limpsa Lomitsa. There is another awaiting introduction.
Lord Emanolaine!
Ah, yes. Emanolaine de Forton, at your service. Though, lest there be any misunderstanding, I should stress that I've not become a fearsome warrior while you were away. Rather, far from it, actually. My brother, in his infinite wisdom, decided this would be an excellent chance to make something of myself. Oh, and fight for world peace and all that. But, should the opportunity arise for a spot of ballroom dancing, I will be your twinkle-toed gentleman of light. I cannot wait to regale Honoroa with my tales of daring do.
I believe that concludes introductions for the Grand Company of Eorzea. Our allies from the Eastern Alliance were due to arrive some time ago, but it would appear they have been delayed.
Would that be the shinobi of Doma?
Actually, they've been tasked with relaying messages back and forth between the various Eastern nations. According to Lord Hien, however, an equally capable company of warriors has been sent in their stead.
Out of my way, you preening fool!
Forgive us for coming late. We are the delegates of the Eastern Alliance.
Cyrena, and you've brought company.
For battle and blood we come, as a step is sorely lacking in both. No towers befoul our lands, so we marched on those of Doma, only to find them beyond our reach. But now our thirst for slaughter will be slaked. No quarter to the enemy!
Sadu Hatun, no. We go to make peace with the Iron Men, not war.
Warriors of the Steppe, we've heard many tales of your bravery. We welcome you as allies. And these other ones you have brought are...
Members of the Dalmascan resistance group, Lente's Tears.
And the Bosnian resistance. Between them, they have a wealth of experience in espionage, and are particularly adept at infiltrating Imperial facilities. Which is fortuitous, since Garlemald's domain is so vast that I could never hope to handle reconnaissance duties all by myself.
Dalmasca, Bosnia, Alamigo. All lands which have suffered the tyranny of the Empire. I would never presume to question your motives. Nevertheless, I must reiterate that our goal is to aid the victims of the Telophoroi, the common folk of Garlemald. And they are victims, make no mistake. Though I understand that many may struggle to see them as such.
You're more right than you know. For every one of us that answered the call, there were a dozen that refused. Not only in Alamigo, but everywhere we went. And who could blame them? The Empire's always been the enemy. But after seeing what we've seen, fighting and working against and with Garleans, there's no denying the simple truth. They're just people. No different from you or I. They've got their share of liars and murderers, but so do we. So do we all. Fordola, who once swore herself to Garlemald, has proven herself a trusted ally time and time again. Every Eorzean here knows Cid Garland, the Imperial defector who shared with us countless technological wonders. Maxima, who stands with us today, tried to reform Garlemald from within and make peace with Doma. So you can believe me when I say that every fighter here understands and accepts that the Imperials are not monsters and are deserving of help. Or at least that they were able to put aside their feelings for the greater good. It won't be easy, but we're all determined to make this world a better place.
What lingering concerns I may have had were clearly unwarranted. I agree with everything you said wholeheartedly.
Then we are in accord. Now, let us review our strategy. To reach the Garlean capital in northern Ilsabard, we must cross the central mountain range. Fortunately, Garlond Ironworks can provide aerial transport, sparing us this most treacherous part of our journey. However, attempting to fly any closer to Garlemald would attract the attention of the Telophoroi. As they appear to have seized control of the majority of the Imperial military, we must assume that includes its fleet. In addition, Garlemald possesses devices that can interfere with airship navigational systems, further discouraging an airborne approach.
Given the circumstances, the closest we dare deploy our contingent is an area between the range and the capital, the Magna Glaciers. From there, we must travel the rest of the way on foot. We will also need to bring the airships with us to ensure we can withdraw with haste. Although much of the terrain will be blanketed in snow, we should be able to make use of local roads and shipping facilities. The vast ice field will afford us an unobstructed view of the surrounding area. On the other hand, it will also allow others to easily spot us, so it is imperative that we only make camp in positions where we can easily defend ourselves. And the airships, which must be kept safe at all costs.
We cannot account for every possibility, so we must be prepared to think on our feet. We will be tested. Sorely tested, I expect. But for our homes and for our people, and a people not our own but in need, we will succeed. Spare no effort in your preparations. Once we depart, there is no turning back.
Ah, yes, this is an instanced area.
Yes.
Did you accept Ishtola's?
I was waiting for KJ to appear as in he's in the same region, and I think he just did. So I'm clicking Ishtola now. Besides the delegates assembled here, the Amalja and several other tribes offered to send troops of their own. Unfortunately, due to physiology, many would struggle simply to survive the harsh climate of Islabard. That would also likely prove tempting targets for abduction by the Telophoroi. All things considered, they can better aid the cause by bolstering our defenses in Eorzea, though their eagerness to do more has been noted. We few shall have to suffice. Ere we embark, we must distribute the warding scales to our comrades. Here to do the honors. Starting with Cyrena. We heard that it would be cold in Garlemald, so we came prepared. Oh, the talismans. We are to keep these close at all times, yes? I will see that no one misplaces theirs. Ah, and before I forget, I have a message from Hien. In distant lands, in times of strife, together stand, together fight. In darkness shines the light of life. I hope I have done his words justice. Doma, like much of Athard, has been plagued by the towers. Yet while he could not be here, he wished to express his shared conviction. Hien and Yugiri labor without rest to unite the people, and with their aid, will we keep the enemy at bay. And we of the Steppe and the Eastern Alliance will repay their efforts by ending this war. Lucia next. Warding scales for the Ishgardian delegation, I take it. Many thanks. These talismans may prove to be the deciding factor in the battles to come. I find myself conflicted by this foray into Garlemald. Sent by the Empire to infiltrate Ishgard, only to throw in my lot with those whose secrets I was supposed to be stealing. And now I lead a mission to save the countrymen I betrayed. But that is doubtless why I have been chosen by Lord Imeric. He would have me put my extensive knowledge and former ties to good use. I will not disappoint him. For the future of Ishgard, Garlemald, and the world at large, I will lead us to victory. Arun Senna next. Yes. I expect him to have little to say. So these are the famed warding scales. Enough for me and my men, I see. Under normal circumstances, I would not be allowed to travel outside of the Twelves Wood. The Elder Seedseer, however, has granted me special permission. He has bid me lend my magics to the people of Garlemald while learning all I can of their ways. In so doing, I will come closer to understanding myself and my place in the world, or so she says. I say it is past time our allies benefited from the power the power at a Seedseer's disposal. Some bemoan that we hide our light under a bushel, and I intend to address that criticism. Sikar next. Hey, you've got something for us. Ah, them scales everybody's been talking about. Pretty little things, ain't they? Reckon they'd be worth a gill or two when this is over, but we'll hold on to them for now. And one more thing. I know what you're all thinking. Why didn't they send Einzar himself instead? Buggered if I know. All the Admiral and Captain Ilfrida told me was they needed someone to help safeguard the future, and here I am. Can't say they haven't got a sense of humor. Of course, some of you might be wondering what good a pirate is on dry land, in the middle of the sodden snow of all places. Well, me and my crew do whatever needs doing. So, let's set sail, or however the saying goes on here. And finally, Lise. A set of warding scales I spy? Not that I would know what they'd look like. Wow, look at these. Even a layman like me can tell they're bursting with ether. All the better to fend off the tempering waves? Is that the right term? Anyway, these will give us one less thing to worry about, which just leaves the other mountain of whatever else is waiting for us in Garlemald. Only one way to find out, though, eh? And nervous or not, I'd march through all 7 hells if it gave me a chance to put Xenos back in the grave where he belongs. You have a warding scale for me, too. Thank you for this, and for going to such incredible lengths for the sake of my people. Though I have little to offer in return, I would impart some advice, if I may. And you have been told by many to wear the cold of Islabard, and I cannot stress enough that this is no token warning. I will be distributing specially made warming tinctures, courtesy of the Alchemist Guild, but understand that there is no substitute for proper protection. I leave the provisioning of said protection to your discretion. Now, let us proceed to the Alamican Court. While you make final preparations, I will have the pilots ready the airships.
So does everybody realize all those guys with names were the assistants of the trainers for whatever classes you were doing?
I recognize some of them, yes.
Yeah, the monk, yeah, they were all in there. I was like, holy crap, this is cool. Anyway, sorry.
No problem. This is our last chance to make ready before we set forth. You needn't worry about Urianger and I. We still have what we wore in Garlemald before. Estinian claims to be quite warm and toasty beneath his armor, and since he spent a fair bit of time up north recently, I have no reason to doubt his words. Most of the others would be borrowing Grand Company stock. The rest of you could do likewise, I suppose, provided you're not overly concerned with style. Not to put too fine a point on it, but I wouldn't be seen dead in one of those ridiculous overcoats. If only I had time to find something to my liking. Hark! Is that the cry of scions in need of a tailor I hear?
No.
Nice.
It is.
Of course it is. Who else would it be? But how? I have my ways. Oh, yes, indeed. And I would like it noted, at least here on my end, when the camera panned around and saw her, there was lightning and thunder in the distance.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You thought you could sneak off to Islabard without telling me? Ha! Nothing escapes my notice. Now, you will wear these garments I've made for you, whether you like it or not. You never cease to amaze. But why do you need a new outfit as well? Wait, are you coming with us? What? No, of course not, silly. It's all the name of fashion. Rather, the pursuit of the highest quality fashion. Besides, how can I expect others to wear my creations if I've never worn them myself? Ah, I did have one other thing to share. Argmus and Blumwinda have finally returned from assignments in faraway lands. They'll be staying at the Rising Stones for a while to keep an eye on events throughout Eorzea. Since they'll be running things back at headquarters, I was wondering if I could lend a hand in Charlian? No, why not? You can keep Kryl company in the Baldessian Annex. Yes, we'd love to have you there. And I heard Agmus and Blumweda did a fine job carrying on in our stead when we were lying comatose. With them in charge of the Rising Stones, we've nothing to worry about. My thoughts exactly. Also, while I'm confident you won't go collapsing again because of a certain someone who shall remain nameless isn't in a position to transport your souls to another world, if anything similarly disastrous were to happen, I'll be well positioned to do something about it. Anyway, I've got a few things to take care of, and then I'll make my way to Charlian. I really do hope these new clothes are enough to keep you warm in Garlemald. It's not much, but it's the only thing I can do for you, other than pray for your safe return, which I will, every day. Let's not keep the contingent waiting any longer.
What's she going to do? Kick him in the shins?
Here are your winter woolies, handcrafted by yours truly. Alright, what's it look like?
Not too bad.
We could wear those snow boots that we got for Christmas time.
Uh-huh.
For now, I think I will stay in mine, but I'll probably make something soon. Now, I don't know how long this quest is going to take, and we're getting pretty late. But if you guys would like to at least unlock the next zone before we call it for the night, I'm game to do that.
I'm fine.
I'm
Either
fine.
way.
Yeah.
I'm told the airship pilot has been sent to meet you. Ah, there he is. Alright, this is where we go our separate ways. Do be careful, won't you?
Oh, it's a separate thing.
Ah. Does that change anybody's opinions?
Well, I don't have any room, so hopefully we won't get nothing.
No, that's fine. I think.
It's fine.
Zora.
I'm good. I'll let you know in a few minutes.
It's an honor to finally meet you. We of the Garland Ironworks will be ferrying you and your contingent across the mountains and into Garlemald. For many of us, it will be something of a homecoming. Our illustrious founder was only our most notable Imperial defector. For that reason, the company is committed to the success of this mission. Our resources are at your disposal, and if there is aught we might do to be of further assistance, please do not hesitate to ask. If you're ready to depart, I will ready the engine. Oh dear.
Yeah, I don't know.
Upon boarding the airship, several cutscenes will play in sequence. It is highly recommended that you set aside sufficient time to view these scenes in their entirety. In addition, you will be required to participate in battle. Your progress will be saved at certain points. In the event that you are defeated, you will be able to try again from the most recent. Please note that if you enter battles associated with other quests or log out of the game, this progress will be lost. I'm thinking we might be in a let's do this next week situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll pick this up next week. Although Zora's giving it a
Zora.
shot.
I'm gonna try to exit.
Alright. Oh. Good luck. If you have to, just let them kill you. That'll exit you pretty quick.
Yep.
Alright, just 1 second, I'll wind down the stream. Alright guys, I believe that's where we're going to call it for the night. And I will be back tomorrow with more Final Fantasy VII. So, until then, I want to thank y'all for joining me. Hope y'all enjoyed it. I'll see y'all next time. Have a good night.